Busy morning for us this morning. A couple of interesting conversations coming up. The first one, I guess, with incoming Premier Frank Coleman.
Well, yesterday afternoon, of course, Premier Tom Marshall stood in the House just at about 2 o'clock, and he discussed the fact that he's going to bring in the Auditor General to look at this situation with Humber Valley Paving. Now, just prior to that, I'd had a conversation with Frank Coleman discussing the situation about Humber Valley Paving. If you look at our question of the day, Mr. Coleman thinks that he has been the focus of relentless personal attacks. And we're asking people, how do you think he's been treated by the media and the opposition? No different than any other potential leader or premier, or the focus has been too personal? So I asked him about some of that stuff yesterday afternoon, and of course he welcomes the Auditor General looking at this Humber Valley Paving issue, but wanted to know more about how he feels about the treatment he's getting, even before he's run in any election at all. First of all, do you understand why some people would see that, okay, Frank Coleman resigns on, I'll say, the 10th, and then on the 13th, the company is allowed to get out of this contract. It happens to be the government you're going to be the head of on July 5th. Can you understand why some people would see this optically as being perhaps there's something wrong with it or some sort of a conflict?
Well, look, I'm currently still a shareholder and an officer of the Coleman Group of companies, and had I not resigned from Humber Valley Paving in February, it wasn't in March. I resigned as president and CEO in February 14th to be exact, and the resignation as a director and a shareholder was March 10th. But look, whether I did it, on January the 1st or, today, would not, I think, have affected the decision that the Department of Transportation and Works would have reached. I mean, these are people who are governed by a duty to the people of the province, and the management team of Humber Valley are governed by a duty and a fiduciary duty to their shareholders.
So this hasn't turned you away from the idea of running for this job at all? Because, even now, I'm sure you're aware there's video circulating on the internet and other news organization showing you with former Premier Danny Williams and the entire caucus at a hockey game. Obviously, do you feel that that's an intrusion of your privacy, or?
Well, I do feel that it speaks to a kind of a sad indictment of what is being done, with that particular video. And, I had those people join me last evening in that box for a bit of enjoyment and fraternity. I have a very short window to get to know them, a very short window to establish, a set of agendas for, the upcoming piece. And it really speaks to, me to a very sad state of affairs that there's a video circulating that, I don't know what was said in captions because I haven't seen it yet, but, the very fact that it's there, to me, given this ride that we've had over the last couple of weeks, it's some attempt to infer something, and I don't know.
Do you think it was a wise idea, though, in light of everything that's gone on, including the fact that at one point in time it was suggested that, and you even responded to it, about your connection to Danny Williams and the fact that he would be calling the shots, that you would show up there with him?
Well, I said from day one that, former Premier Williams was a friend. And, I have many friends, and Premier Williams is one of them. And I have absolutely no problem being associated with Premier Williams or any other premier for that matter. So, look, where is the shame, really, Fred, in attending a hockey game that the former premier owns, a hockey team, and enjoying an evening out with the caucus? I fail to see that.
I'll ask you one final question, and you sort of already answered it, but you have had a rough ride over the last little while. The abortion issue, your personal views on that, your family was involved in that discussion in the public media, of course, with social media, and you and I have talked about that. There are no holds barred there. How do you feel about politics so far, I guess, is the final question I'd like to ask you.
Look, I really think that some of the assault has been unfair. I mean, the focus on my wife and my family and my son of recent, is really, really uncalled for. I mean, I'm the guy here running for this position, and there is every effort made to, as I say, attach lines and strings to this leadership. Fred, look, I've had a record in this province of operating businesses with integrity, with respect, and I've been, I think I have a record that I could stand up to anybody with, and I've been in this race for 6 months, and the focus has not been on any of the real positive things I've achieved. It's been on inference and implication and, what I stand for. And so let me just speak to what I stand for. No leader is going to be a leader unless he's got a conscience and he believes in something. And I believe in things. And I may not have the same belief that somebody else has, but I respect theirs, and I would only ask that they respect me. And that was the pro-life issue. And I don't ask people to be less than they are, and I wouldn't expect anybody should ask me to be less than I am. I certainly wouldn't expect my wife to be less than she is, and it wouldn't be fair. And I'm struggling with the fact that this intense scrutiny on personal lives, would deter solid business people and would deter women from putting themselves forward for this profession of representing the province in political life.
In light of all this, have you thought at all, or has your family asked you to step back from this race? Well, the fact it's not a race anymore, but step back from politics altogether.
Well, let me just say it still is a race. It's a race to figure out what the next personal attack is going to be, and I think that's certainly regrettable. But no, my family has been very supportive. I think it's unfortunate for them that they have been under this scrutiny. They certainly don't deserve it, and I think that I think there needs to be sort of an awakening here that fair is fair, and if there was something that if I could wave a wand and say that, look, this Humber Valley paving issue had not come up, I'm not sure what one would have filled it. What issue would have filled it over the last week or 2 weeks? The week before that it was pro-life, and this week or in the week before that it was Humber Valley. And, the Humber Valley issue is as I've represented it to be. I mean, there is nothing to suggest whatsoever that I joined this race in return for a cancellation of a contract. Period. Full stop.
Mr. Coleman, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Fred.
So there you have it, Frank Coleman, coming out swinging a little bit this morning. In the beginning, he wasn't saying much in the media at all, but in the last few days, he's really come back with a flurry of interviews that he's done with different media organizations, including the interview yesterday with us. That interview took place just prior to the Premier standing in the House to say that the Auditor General has been written, and that we would, hear from the Auditor General in the coming days. Now, yesterday morning as well, the day before rather, I had contacted the Auditor General. He's actually out of the province right now, I guess on vacation, and was going to get back to us because I wanted to find out had he been contacted. And I guess yesterday morning, once the Premier got back from the oil show in Houston, he sent that letter. And, the last time something like this happened, I think it was back in 2006 when the Auditor General was called in to look at a situation. It took about, I think, 8 or 9 months, something like that, 10 months to get an answer. So we're not going to hear this tomorrow or the next day or or Monday or something like that. It's going to take a while to track down all that paper and to figure out what happened. But of course, we'll continue to cover the story.
Yeah, and Frank Coleman, like you say, coming out swinging a little bit and probably feeling a little bit on the defensive. It kind of leads into the question of the day for today.
Well, we wanted to ask folks who listen to VOCM and those who go to our website, VOCM.com. Frank Coleman is concerned by what he calls relentless personal attacks. How do you think he's been treated by the media and the opposition? We've had people take swings at us as well for being too tough on him, and other media as well. So we asked, well, the two options are no different than any other political leader we've covered. And right now, out of the 382 people who voted at VOCM.com, 72% are on that side. 28% feel the focus has been too personal. And, of course, that is Mr. Coleman's feeling.
View as well.
Yep.